Hello and welcome to this video in which we will be looking at a reading comprehension passage from CAT 2024 slot 1. In this video, I'm not going to be solving the questions of this exercise, but I'm going to be talking about reading of the passage and what information are we supposed to gather from the passage after finishing reading it for the first time, which parts of the passage to focus upon and which not. Now, this passage was an economics related passage from CAT 2024, but you need not have an in-depth sense of understanding of economics to actually make sense of the passage. It's actually pretty simple to understand. So if you start reading the passage, first sentence is very, very important to focus upon. As usual, as is the case with most RC exercises, the first sentence says that economists often, they did not, when they cross borders from economics, which means that when they talked about other fields, then they would invade the other fields with thoughts of economics rather than learning something from it. So this is what the author is starting off with. He's starting off with a kind of a negative perception about the field of economics, and especially economists. They used to go into different fields, and instead of learning something from it, they used to impose themselves on it. And to say make that clear, the author is giving the example of an economist named Gary Becker and what he used to do, how he went into non-market kind of fields, and he used to apply methods of economics on it. And he concludes the paragraph with a very key sentence saying that Becker was a picture of imperial economist in the heyday of the discipline's bravura. Right? So, which means that he was an imperial economist, which means he's being compared to imperial colonists who used to go to different countries and instead of learning their culture, they used to say that my culture is superior, accept it. So that's how economists like Becker actually treated their own field. Then comes the next paragraph, and the author begins this paragraph with a very key sentence which tells us that the train of thought of the author is changing, because he's saying times have changed for the once almighty discipline. So he's saying that economists thought that they're almighty, which means that they are the best and they impose themselves onto the other fields. But that time changed, and then he is in the third sentence, he's saying some economists have reached out, imported, borrowed, and collaborated, been less imperial and more open. So over time, they have become a bit more accepting. And he's actually saying that they have become a bit more better. So he definitely criticizes economists in the first paragraph, but then he's saying that now they have become better. And then he gives an example of how all they have become better, because he's referring to people like Thomas Piketty, and then he's referring to behavioral economics when he's talking about social psychology and incorporating that into the field of economics. And then how in the next paragraph also, in the very beginning, he's talking about how there are choices in front of everyone and how they make choices, how they make decisions. That depends upon a lot of other things apart from purely economic decisions. It depends upon psychology as well. And that's how they started incorporating behavior and psychology into economics. Now, moving forward, the next paragraph. First line begins with saying that psychologists take one look at the simple formulation and change the rest. And even when they started to make use of behavioral economics or behavior into economics, even then they were like very simplistic about it. Like he gave an example of a growling stomach versus a shivering body, and which one will they pick and choose, as if it's like a dual decision, and then one of them makes more sense to people and one of them doesn't. So psychologists say that it's much more complex than that, and economics treat it like it's a binary condition. And then he moves on to say that why it's not a binary condition, because it's not always dependent upon logic and rationale. And in that third paragraph, or in the second to last paragraph, he's actually pointing out this very important sentence which says, this is one place where the humanist can help economists. So economists think that behavior can also be predicted like the field of economics, like a binary system, but then humanists can actually help them in understanding that how there are other factors beyond just being a binary decision. And we are going to need much more of an lesson taking from the remaining fields beyond economics. So he's again constantly advocating for the fact that economists need to be more open. And last paragraph, he begins by saying, above all, we need politics and institutions. So we need to learn from other subjects. Above all, we also need to understand the impact of politics and institutions. Then he talks about Schiller, who connects perceptions of narratives to changes in behavior. Narrative means what the society tells people, what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, what will make you a good person, what will not make you a good person. And that needs to be applied to social outcomes. And that is how economic decisions are often made. So, so narratives were actually brought about by Schiller, who was a Nobel Prize winning economist. So he is incorporating complexities from other fields into the field of economics. So he's doing something right. But in the last sentence, he says that even he, though, institutions and politics he did not take into account. So yet institutions have been stripped from Schiller's account to reveal a bare dynamic of emotions in economics. So he takes into account emotions, but then he does not take into account how institutions and politics can also shape economic decisions. So that is what we have to focus upon the passage when we're reading it. So overall, the passage is about the field of economics and especially economists that initially they thought that they were the best and they can't learn anything from the remaining fields, but they can apply lessons of economics to the remaining fields. But slowly they are realizing that there's a lot to be learned from other fields and that can actually help shape better theories of economics. But even then, they have not gone the full course yet. They still think of making economic decisions as a very simplistic learning from other fields. But then it's pretty complex. We can learn from humanists in understanding the complexities that are involved in making economic decisions, and also how institutions and politics, beyond just social narratives, how institutions and politics also shape economic decisions. These are the things that economists still need to learn. This is what the entire passage is about. If you understand this about the passage, and we have done a good job of reading the passage. Okay, so let me quickly point out the things that we need to understand or about this passage. So first, if we talk about the word count, it's a 511 word long passage, which means that it is not a very long passage. It is average level difficulty as far as CAT as a paper is concerned. The passage is argumentative. An argumentative passage is basically where the author has an opinion and the author writes the entire passage to justify what their or why they believe that their opinion is correct. And the author's opinion is that economists need to learn from other fields and their thought has to become more nuanced and they have to incorporate politics and institutions also in creating economic theory. And for that, the author is giving an entire argument about where all he thinks that economists have gone wrong and how they are improving, but they have not improved yet completely. This has been taken from a book called Public Books, or not a book, from a website called Public Books, although it's called Public Books, but it's not from a public book. So Public Books is an academic website, which means that this is a very academic work of literature. It is a place where professors and experts in their own field, academic experts in their own fields, write blogs. So although it is written for regular audiences, it's not completely academic in nature, but you can expect a lot of academic discussions in the articles of this particular website, which means that it will feel a bit economically heavy when we're reading the passage because it has been written by an academician. This is written by a professor, by the way. So because it is a bit academically heavy, I would say that it's okay to take more than 2.5 minutes, even if you are a seasoned reader, even if you are really good at reading comprehensions, you can take 2.5+ minutes to read this passage. I think acceptable time to read if you have practiced enough number of reading comprehension exercises by now, then slightly more than 3 minutes you can take. Less than 3.5 minutes. So I don't think that this is still a 3.5 minute read because despite it being a bit academic in nature, the idea that is being communicated is pretty straightforward and simple to understand. It does not require us to be experts in the field of economics. Overall difficulty, I'll say easy to moderate. I will not say easy because I said a bit of academic bent to it. And a few things that you can learn from this particular passage is meanings of words like argot and bravura. Argot is language and words and terminology, jargon rather, which are used by people of a particular profession or a particular social class. So, like people who are working in a particular field, they will tend to use a jargon a lot, certain jargon and terminologies a lot more that they have taken from their discipline. And they might even use it in real world situation. Like, a lot of times people in operations use the word warehousing to just saying storage. I have warehoused my winter clothes in this particular cupboard, which means that they have kept it there for longer duration storage. So things like that become argot of people from specific disciplines and social classes. Bravura is a word that is coming from a similar root word like bravo. When you say bravo, that's like really good work done, well done. So bravura is when there is a great amount of achievement which happens. Someone does a particular work really skillfully, really beautifully, really brilliantly, then they are said to have accomplished a certain degree of bravura. So these are the things that you can learn from this passage, and that's what we are trying to understand after we finish reading the passage. Stay tuned. In the next video, I will be talking about these questions and solutions of this particular exercise. Thank you.